Hey buddies, Some Nuts Guy here. Hope you're having an awesome day so far. It is 12 hours to launch day, to launch hour, and we have our game preloaded. We've got it pre-installed, ready to go, and we are having a look at our settings. There's some things that I definitely wanted to talk about that I've personally changed that you're probably going to want to consider changing as well. So I'm going to run through those very, very quickly for you. First things first, you got your swap active weapons here. Instead of pressing 1, 2, or specific keybinds for your first and second weapons, you only have 2 weapons. You may as well have one button that switches from your currently active weapon to your currently inactive weapon. It's really nice and easy for you. Personally speaking, I changed my weapon ability buttons as well. I've got E and then both mouse buttons, switching over interact to F instead of E so that I can use that for an ability. That's just my preference. Obviously, you guys can choose what you want, but I think this really suits me and gets me to do, allows me to do my DPS and my rotations a lot faster. Or a lot more comfortably, at the very least. You might want to filter your language, or you might want to not filter your language. Personally, I just turn the language filter off. But the one I want to look at here is the bandwidth mode. Bandwidth mode will determine, the priority of New World to use your bandwidth, essentially. Now, personally, I am putting this on medium just to test it out because I'll be streaming, and I don't want to steal all of the bandwidth from my stream from OBS. So I'm going to put it on medium. I would like to crank it up to high if possible to reduce the effects or to reduce potential lag or reduce or to make sure the quality is high as possible. If you're not streaming, and you got a decent PC, there's no reason you shouldn't crank this up to high. So that is definitely worth considering there for you guys. In terms of gameplay, now I would definitely turn off the camera shake. Camera shake is a massive pain in the butt. It's like motion blur. They don't actually have motion blur. I didn't find it anywhere, which I'm glad because that's always on by default in games and no one ever wants it on, which doesn't make any sense to me. So turn off the camera shake. There's certain situations where your camera will end up shaking while you're trying to aim, and it's very difficult to aim while your camera is shaking, let me tell you. Always show the reticle is a really good one as well. So even if your weapons are sheathed, you want to know where you're kind of aiming. So if someone jumps you can immediately jump into action instead of pulling out your weapon, missing your first shot because you don't actually know where your reticle is, as an example. Always show weapons is another option that you want to go on as well. So always show weapons here. You want to turn that on. That will always make sure that the bottom right panel that shows your weapons and abilities is always there. And if this was off, it would fade away, giving you a nice, more visual look, less HUD clutter. But it's not even cluttered, it's in the bottom right corner. And having this on will allow you to just know what weapons are equipped or, what abilities are on cooldown. It just gives you more information. Again, if you get jumped, you want to have this information in mind. So turning that on is a good idea. You also want to turn on the show extra ability cooldowns. This essentially gives you like a little radial wheel, sort of center screen that shows you what abilities are on cooldown and allows you to just have you don't have to flick your eyes, especially if you have a larger screen. Some of you guys might have large screens. You've got to flick your eyes all the way down to the bottom right corner to check your cooldowns and then flick back up maybe to the top left to see the enemy that you're aiming at or whatever the case may be. Having the extra ability cooldowns shown here will just center that information for you so your eyes are flicking around less and you have more information readily available in front of you. Accepting dual invites is another thing I would consider turning off. There has been some players along the way that were manipulating the dual invites to block your vision in PvP because it's kind of a big notification type thing. But also to, if you accidentally accepted it, while you're mining a node and then they attack you and get you off the node and then, just accepting dual invites, consider turning it off if you don't want to be pestered by those. Personally, I don't really accept duels very frequently unless I'm literally in a place to go dueling, in which case I can just turn it on. Auto traverse can be massively annoying. This basically just means that when you walk up to a wall or a ledge, you'll just hop over it. And there's been times where it's kind of been quite frustrating. I want to have the freedom to control that myself. So I've turned this off as well. In terms of the visuals, you'll be wanting to crank up your field of view. It only goes to 70, and this I think only increases the vertical field of view. So that just increases the vertical field of view, but it does give you more visibility, whether it be of the beautiful world that you want to see more of, or whether it be potential gankers. If you're mining a node, you can rotate, have a look around, and you can have just more visibility to see whether you're being crept up on or anything like that. The frame rate is definitely something you'd want to consider capping as well. If this frame rate is uncapped, That really might push your GPU into overdrive. This game personally gets my computer, my CPU, my GPU quite hot already, so I want to do everything that I can to limit that. So capping here itself at 60 FPS is definitely going to be the way to go there. I do wish they had a 75. It's weird they don't have a 75 or a 144 option, but capping at 60 FPS, that works for me. I'm happy with that. As always, as with most games, Vsync can be an issue. So if you're having FPS issues, if you're having, weird stuttery issues, the first thing I always look at is Vsync. If it's off, turn it on. If it's on, turn it off. Sometimes it being on seems to help. Sometimes it being off seems to help. I never really know what's going on with Vsync, but if you're having frame rate issues or you're seeming really stuttery, definitely worth changing whatever your Vsync options are, because that can be quite annoying. The output config is it's interesting. So it's either home theater or headphones. Most of you guys are going to be headphones, so it should be that by default, but you just want to double check, because if it's the wrong configuration, it's going to be doing spatial sound incorrectly. You want to make sure that all of your spatial sounds are coming from the right directions. So having the output config as headphones is going to make sure that that's just optimized properly for your sound setup, if that makes sense. And finally, you got your voice chat mode and communications. Now, I'm going to be turning this to group only, personally, because I'm going to be streaming, and you never know, you might have someone run up shouting obscenities or various other things that you don't necessarily want them to be shouting at. Very possibly might happen, so I'm going to be turning my voice chat mode to group only. You guys might want to do the same as well. And that's all I wanted to talk about today in terms of settings. I'm super excited about the game. I'm actually running a company on the EU server Runeberg. Will be called Aeternum Trading Co., assuming you get the name on launch day. And we are recruiting. It would be great to get some of you guys in there. We're currently at a sort of 30-ish player mark, looking to fill out to the full 100 as quickly as possible. I know there's a bunch of people that aren't in the Discord as yet, so we don't have finalized numbers. But we are recruiting, so you'd be welcome to join. The information on how to join the company will be in the description below for you guys. I'll be doing a subathon from launch day, an uncapped subathon, so a day, 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, 10 days, as long as you guys keep it going, we're going to keep it going. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be goofy, and it should be quite interesting. So it'd be great to see some of you guys there. That'll be on twitch.tv/TheNutSky. Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you have a good rest of your day.